I'm sorry, Andrew Weissman, but if I recall correctly, in 2018, you were one of the people who helped write the Mueller report, and you all botched the hell out of that.
And never in my wildest dreams would I have thought we would be here. I thought we were better as a country.
Oh, yeah.
Like all these sites that have been around for creating videos and all that, like text stock videos, they're done.
That's why Canva was one of the first to get into doing AI.
What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations. 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers that's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And being part of that team since 2020, we've reached out directly and indirectly to over 300,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers. I am also a featured contributor to a platform called Indie Soup Media, which is driven by our good friend, Dr. Tachi. And that is a platform that has about 27 now independent content creators. And I also sit on the advisory board. So check out replays. One of the places you can check out replays of this epic conversation called Primetime Saturday with Aisha and LaLa. So we are here broadcasting live on May 18th. It is a long weekend here in Canada. Yes, that's where I am based. But it's not a long weekend in these areas of Staggers land and LaLa land.
No, it's not a long weekend at all. I wish it was. I wish it was. Ours is what, in a week?
Memorial.
Yeah.
Okay. How's the week been, ladies?
I'm exhausted.
It's I think Aisha just said it. I'm exhausted. I'm absolutely exhausted. No joke.
I'm so tired. Oh my gosh. I swear to God, after the show's over, I feel like I could sleep for a week.
Yeah.
Yes, I can understand that. How is weather where you are at?
Raining.
Raining. And chilly.
Chilly. Yeah.
It was really warm. Like, what was it? Like yesterday and the day before it was like 78, 76. And now today it's like 60. It's freezing. It's raining. It's cold. It's dreary. And I guess it's appropriate for the stuff that we're going to talk about today.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not going to touch any of that. I'm just going to let that be. So let's get to some things before we get going. Primetime Saturday with Aisha LaLa Patreon. There is the link. There is the link for products from the store. Join the Discord group. Email me at dr.vibe@thedr.vibeshow. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Also, follow, whatever you want to do on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And if you follow me over the next week, I'll be celebrating, let me get up, Buy Blacks National Restaurant Week.
Oh, you love that week.
So
we all got themed t-shirts on. You've got yours, Lala's got hers. I've got mine because 40 years ago.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yep, our friend Jill Jones will actually be doing
I saw that post.
Yeah, they're doing a viewing. She and I talked about it a couple weeks ago, but they're doing a viewing Memorial Day weekend of the film. The film's been restored to 4K, and then Jerome Benton, and some other people are going to be
it's going 4K? 4K? Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Andre Simone, Jerome Benton are going to be sitting and chatting and partying with folks. So tickets are on sale for that. But if you're in LA area, 40 years. Oh my God.
I know. I was like, who's 40 you talk about?
Wow.
All right.
Also, if you want to advertise your business, product, or service on the show, please email me at dr.vibe@thedr.vibeshow.com. So people who are around regularly saying, Dr. Vibe, your voice isn't 100%. I'm just getting over a little cold. So I didn't talk too much during the day because I wanted to preserve this vocal cords for the conversation. Maybe I should be one of those people. Should I insure my voice? Maybe I should. LaLa, do you insure?
AI will get a hold of it.
Yeah, LaLa, is your voice insured, LaLa? Your Will's, because you're both performers.
It's funny that we actually just talked about that, and I think we will be with AI and stuff. We're gonna need it.
Absolutely. And actually, ChatGPT is releasing an upgraded to their free version in the very near future. I saw that.
Oh, wow.
Yes, an upgrade to the free version is coming with
Will they
Chat.
be doing will that be audio?
Yes, I think it includes that. I saw a brief post on it and I went to the page and I think there's an audio component.
I've used the new upgraded 4.0 and it is absolutely, and I have used
Yeah.
the translation, believe it or not, translation.
Oh, actually, there's a young lady who I am helping build her business. She's a translator, and I haven't had the chance to ask her. So, what's this going to do your business? Because she says she's got like 250 clients around the world.
Does she? Wow.
Yeah. She's a Spanish translator. She's got all the accreditation, been doing it for years, and she also trains other translators.
Oh, that's wonderful.
I told Lala I was learning Portuguese so we could start speaking
Portuguese.
Yes. Well, you know,
I got to learn the language.
Yeah. You know, I was telling her that I'd taken Spanish from 5th grade through my 2nd year of college, but Latin my last 2 years of high school. And if you know those languages, any of the Romance languages, picking up another one is actually easier.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah. So like I have the app on my phone and I practice with it daily, like 10 to 30 minutes a day. And
impressive.
You know, a lot of the words like from Portuguese and Spanish are the same. And so it reminded me, well, not the same, but they sound the same. So it reminded me of when I was in undergrad, there was a woman who had, she was a student from Brazil, and she came and she spent a lot of time with the Spanish speaking students and the students that were there to learn English and then take college classes, and they spoke fluently. And like some of those included students from Costa Rica and St. Lucia who are Black students but could speak Spanish because those are Spanish speaking countries. And but she spoke Portuguese, but she was able to speak with them because the words sound very much the same and are very similar. And so that always reminded me of that. And so I kept that in mind as I practiced daily. I'm on like day 10 straight, like 10 to 30 minutes.
Wow, impressive. La Longa, knowing the language. I took French until my last year of high school. And after I said, I don't know how I got 70% in this course, and there's no way I'm going to be able to pass this in university, and I ditched it. A little bit of a regret that I did that, because bilingual, especially in Canada, is an asset. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Well, I was a communications major undergrad, so you had to have a language part of your component. And so I just kept with Spanish because I'd done it for the 4 years in middle school, 4 years in high school, but I also did Latin 2 years, but they didn't have Latin. Latin was a lot easier to me, having had all the Spanish time. But if you know Latin, I think that's the reason I was able to do so well on my SATs. But if you know Latin, you know the root words of a lot of English language words that we use. So you can pretty much figure out what people are saying to you, knowing the roots.
And I never had to take any language because all of my extras were the arts. So that took up all of my extras. So I never took a language. So it's not easy for me.
What about Will?
Much better than me. He's got it down pat.
Wow.
Well, you know, when we travel a lot singing and stuff like that, he makes it a point to learn the languages of the countries. He doesn't know all of it, but he knows a little bit of this and a little bit of that. He communicates very well. And when we travel in different countries now, he learned even some things when we went to Morocco a couple of weeks ago. So he learned some of that. And I just look at him in awe because I'm like, I'm trying to learn one language right now and you got like 7.
Yeah.
Wow.
But what I found out is that there are certain words like car, house, cat are the same in Spanish as they are in Portuguese.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay. All right. Well, let's take a look. Have no fear. Fitnet's IQ Fitness IQ Cam is here. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening back, Fitness IQ Cam. Hope you are fine and safe. We've got a show tonight.
Yes.
I'm going to say we've got a show tonight. So if you're watching this, share it out. If you're watching on the replay, I'd suggest you watch as much of this as possible, whether it's in different sittings or different viewings. Make sure you watch the whole thing tonight. I think you're going to be coming out more as Dr. Tachi would say, be more you're going to be better after this conversation. So let's get to it. So first things first, Polytrix. 45 says, quote, he's worked hand in hand with Black people.
Okay, so I didn't
use imagination.
Look, I didn't put on a whole lot of makeup tonight because some of our topics are going to be heavy. But this was just me. This was just I had like put on clown makeup because, dude, you tried to get the exonerated 5 executed even after DNA proved they were not guilty.
Yeah. And still stands by that today, guys.
It still stands by it, as does the victim in that case, unfortunately. But dude, still stands by this. You work hand in hand with Black people to give them a hand into jail. That's what I'm saying.
I don't even have any words for
redlining, dude. The redlining, the suits from the 70s and the 80s. From you, remember he wanted to have that housing, that Trump Tower have houses for low income people, but there had to be a colored entrance for the poor people in the back of the building. Dude,
no, he's never changed. He's always been that way from the very beginning. He's never, ever going to back down on anything that he says. We know how ridiculous he, and we know that he lies constantly. And he honestly needs to be in a mental hospital because he's really that twisted. And I say that with all seriousness. There is something wrong with that man. And people are putting him on pedestals and anything that he says is gold. And it's so clear that he's such a liar and he's such a racist. And we are in trouble, America. We've been in trouble. But the fact that you even still want someone like that in office shows me that we are going all the way down to the county. You know how they say hit rock bottom? We ain't hit rock bottom yet.
And let me tell you something about those 4 guys that showed up in the same suits and the red ties. Let me tell you something. I looked at them on TV and was running away from the TV like they were Jehovah's Witnesses at my door. Because honestly, Donald Trump and the 4 treasons, up here looking like the Stepford Sons.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what was wrong with them.
It's really quite sickening. The
it's
things
like, what are you? 5th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade girls? Shoot,
yeah.
I haven't dressed the same as someone like that except when my daughter was 2. We had a matching outfit for a picture. But like that, deciding what we're going to wear. Me and my sisters, my mother used to dress the 3 of us in the same outfits in different colors, and I hated it. But no, we got to get that Trump black suit that's not quite black, but it's not quite gray either, and the red tie. And like, Vivek, you aren't even part of the team.
No.
Those people there were at least in Congress. You just random stranger.
This has just been too much. I am literally at my wit's end with America. I'm really tired and exhausted from just reading the news or waking up with heaviness about something that is major that has gone on, or something that doesn't make any sense that should be in the headlines getting so much attention. And just the whole world. I mean, someone said to me, she feels 2024 is the year of exposure. And I really feel that way. But the exposure is happening so fast and so quickly and so ugly that it will take its toll on you mentally.
Yeah. And here's the thing, too. We're going to talk about Joe Biden in a minute. And, people are like, oh, with the, Trump wants people so badly to believe that Joe Biden is the problem and that Joe Biden has cognitive, like Lauren Boebert said, cognitive dissonance. Mind you, I don't even think she knows what cognitive dissonance is.
does.
Like I said, I have a master's degree in clinical psychology. Cognitive dissonance has absolutely nothing to do with you being able to understand cognitive things. Okay, anyway, aside from that point, people are all up in arms about, Joe Biden going to Morehouse and the speech he's going to give tomorrow. Mind you, he will not be the first president to give a speech at a HBCU. I recall, not my HBCU, but I recall in 1997, I went to my best friend's graduation, and Bill Clinton, 1997. Okay, Bill Clinton gave the commencement address, knowing full well that the Monica Lewinsky stuff was about to pop off. Okay, and nothing he said was political. Knowing, and nothing he said was political. It was about the future. Now, Donald Trump talks about a future that is Handmaid's Tale future. It is a future. Yes. It is a future that is dark. It is a future that it's about as bad as this rainy day outside my window, right?
But they keep acting like but here's the thing. They're telling us like this is not a hidden agenda. None of this.
No.
Okay, so let me ask, can either of you come up with reasons why an African American would vote for 45?
Outside of knowing just how evil he is, you should never want any of that in there. Listen, I've said it before and I'm going to say it again. I don't like the choices that we have. I don't. But these are the choices that we have. And if I choose not to vote, then I've made a choice. Right. So I'm still going to have to vote the way my heart tells me, because honestly, there is nothing good about 45. That he doesn't even see anything in the world other than for what himself and his family and what he can gain from it. And nothing is going to stop him from obtaining absolute power if he gets up there. He is going to make it a point to never let you elect anyone else again. He's going straight dictatorship.
Yeah.
If that doesn't scare the shit out of you already, then I really can't convince you of anything else.
Right. And I think the Black people that vote for him are trying harder than anything to be bigger fish in a little big fish in a little pond, because you got to remember the Republican majority is shrinking. It's ever shrinking, but the number of Black people who have power or wield power in the Republican majority, Republican minority, is, the things that you have to do, the racial gymnastics of hatred that you have to do in order to just get platformed by these people. We talked about the guy in North Carolina. We talked about Candace Owens. We talked about Byron Donalds, who reminds me of this guy that we went to school with. We used to call Stank Hank. But anyway, anyway, every time I see him, I think Stank Hank. But you're not going to. Here's the thing. Eventually, all these people will want to come back home. Just like, what's his name? Whitlock. Jason Whitlock. Is it Jason Whitlock who effed around and found out the other day? When someone called him a DEI hire. Because he spoke on something that was true. So Jason Whitlock. So here's the thing. Eventually, those folks are going to want to come home. And guess what? We ain't home.
No.
The doors are locked. The lights are off. The shades are down. We're going to treat you just like we would treat those dudes in the black suits and red ties, like they were Jehovah's Witnesses at the door.
Yep.
Nobody's home. Because guess what? We're Black people at the point where there's no forgiveness anymore.
None.
Not the grift. We know the grift. We recognize the grift. There's no forgiveness.
They have actually brought it to the absolute positive point of them versus us. You always hear them saying, or always people say, oh, it's always them and us. No. Right now, it truly is a showdown between them and us. And as much as they can keep us fighting in the trenches, it keeps them in power. So as long as they can continue with this smokescreen and this garbage, and we continue to fall for it instead of standing up for what we truly believe in and taking our country back, because actually the power is in our hands. It's in our hands. So until we stop and we start seeing the true divisiveness that they have decided to throw upon us on everything, even if the sky is blue or purple or green, they have us fighting about that, then we have no power.
And let's be clear, Donald Trump is trying to get back into the house that was built by slave labor.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that. Can you put Fitnance IQ's comment on, because that is a comment that I think needs to be seen. You know, she said, I've heard before that the reason they chose 45 because he did more for blacks than Obama did. Let me tell you something. And I love you, Fitnance. Thank you for tuning in every week, and you are so loyal. The person that started that rumor was Trump.
Yep. Yep.
He started
this. He does this.
He started it, and then these dumb folks continue to parrot it. Look, let me tell you something. What's her name? Spicy Ice, whatever that little girl's name is. Talking about, well, I got my Trump checks. The only reason you're calling it a Trump check is because Donald Trump insisted that he put his name on it. But guess what, baby girl? Guess what? If he didn't insist on putting a letter with it and signing it in that Sharpie marker like he was a 3-year-old toddler just learning how to write, you would have had it 6 weeks earlier, because Nancy Pelosi in the House
had it done.
Chuck Schumer in the Senate got it done.
Got it done.
So guess what?
You had to wait longer.
You were broke 6 weeks longer. And let's be very clear. You might have got you might have got your Trump check, but right now you're complaining about inflation. And you know why you're complaining about inflation? Because those 2 Trump checks, we're paying for them now.
Yes, we are.
Now.
It's all tied in. And like, you know, don't forget, guys, even during this case with Stormy Daniels, it came out so clear that he is the creator of fake news. He worked with the National Enquirer to kill stories and to make up stories. So guess who is the ultimate creator of fake news? It is him. He put this out there.
They said for years that he was calling up using different voices and fake names to put out positive stories about himself, about how he was this great stud and great lover. I'm sorry. I tell my daughter this all the time, but you cannot tell that man he's not fine. He looks in the mirror and he sees something different than what the rest of us see. I'm sorry.
Well, you know, he was having a very hard day when Stormy came out and was telling it all. She was not censoring anything. She said
he got SDE, she said.
Yes.
All right. Before you ladies continue on, just want to catch up. JJ Mars. Hello. Hope all is fine with you. And says it's a nice spring day in Colorado.
Oh, really?
Jealous.
Okay. We have nice weather in Toronto. We're about 7. We had 70 plus degrees Fahrenheit today. Nice weather. Ella, look who says. She says she appreciates all our supporters. Thank you for being here. Signed, LaLa. Fitness IQ Cam says yes. We talk about that. Obama. Sylvia Paris from Nova Scotia is hanging in, and she says hello from Nova Scotia. Keep bringing it. Yes, waking up with heaviness.
Thank you for showing up, girl. Nova Scotia.
Yes.
And she says, I think they were referring to the business incentives.
It doesn't matter. he put that lie out.
All right. And JG Mar says the problem with the rumor was that the Democrats failed as usual in countering his claims. Pure communication.
Yes.
You hit that right on the head, JJ. That's exactly what it is. We have talked about it over and over, how the Democrats don't know how to play this game. They need to get smart, they need to get wise, and they need to get themselves together, because what they're doing is failing in the fact that they're not even talking about any of the good that they've done.
Yes.
They're just so quiet like little mouses. I don't understand it.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about the things that Joe Biden has done for Black people, because I have to go find this piece, because remember, we have for the last month have heard people on this platform coming up to us in the comments saying, well, what has he done for Black people?
Yeah.
What has he done for Black people? What has he done for Black people? He hasn't done nothing for Black people. Well, guess what? I went and found out the stuff that he did do. And then I also found out the stuff that he wanted to do, promises made, promises that couldn't be kept because of who stood in the way. It was that mango madness orange fool.
Yes. Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Every time.
But y'all want to act like you did something there. Okay.
Jen Myers has arrived. Hello, Jen Myers. What's going on?
It wouldn't be a show without her, right?
True.
That's right.
She hasn't missed, I don't think, Jen, since we started.
She's missed a few because she's been
Just
sick.
a
That's the only time.
Oh,
I don't
Jen has
think
been
she's
showing
missed
up
more
since
than 10.
2017.
Yeah, she's been hardcore. She's number one. Oh, Fitness IQ Ken goes madness, mango madness fool. Bahaha. Regina's in the house. I think they should start taking the low road. I actually enjoyed Crockett's cracking on. We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that, Regina. We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that. This is
Regina, you know, we was gonna have that on the show today.
Body, I swear to God.
Okay, hold your energy. Hold your energy. Hold your energy. Okay. All right. So, why I knew someone was gonna break up the party. You're a party crasher, Regina. You're a official party crasher. All right. So we talked. So again, but it seems that a number of African Americans either going to support 45 or they're not going to vote at all.
Well, let me tell you something. Here's what Donald Trump has done for Black people. I'm going to be very clear, very honest, and very transparent. Not a thing.
Nope.
Wow.
But that's the truth. It's the truth.
Wow.
So y'all can waste your vote by voting third party and not voting for him or not voting period. But I refuse to waste my vote, because the one thing that and I want to mention this too, because guess what? Y'all are marching us forward into Project 2025 willingly, because one of the things I shared that I want to make sure to mention, it occurred to me because I forgot about it, was that the president of Malawi had somebody put in prison for making a meme, a video meme, TikTok video of him dancing.
Yes.
He sent them to prison because it offended him and it hurt his little tiny little feelings. Well, guess what? Trump is just that sensitive. And that's exactly what he wants to be able to do. And the fact that Mitt Romney, I'm sorry, let me be clear before I say this. Mitt Romney has no purview for giving presidential election advice to Joe Biden when he lost to Joe Biden.
Thank you.
On the ticket with Barack Obama.
Thank you.
Look, him or Trump have no purview for giving advice to Joe Biden on how to run a campaign when they both lost to this man. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
But Mitt Romney talking about, oh, well, if I was Joe Biden, I would have just pardoned him. Guess what? That's why you weren't elected president. And that's why your team didn't want to hurt your little feelings and tell you that you were losing by a landslide because you got clocked. Thinking that he won. He showed up with his little acceptance speech, and he lost by what was it? What 20, 30? Something like that.
Yeah.
He lost almost as bad as John McCain did.
Yeah. But at least John McCain had honor.
Because look, I don't even think John McCain voted for John McCain. With Sarah Palin on the ticket. If Nicole Wallace, who was running the campaign, couldn't vote that year, I seriously doubt John McCain. John McCain was looking at Barack Obama like, I think I might vote for him.
I know it.
I know Joe Biden. I know. Look, I was in the Senate with both of them. I know them. I don't know that strange lady and her pregnant teenage daughter that we're trying to normalize.
That part.
Let's move forward. Oh, Regina is laughing and celebrating with the commentary going on. Okay, so we've talked about one side of the coin. Let's get to the other side of the coin. Has President Biden kept his campaign promises to Black Americans? The answer is complicated.
Yes.
Aisha?
Well, JJ Marsh says we get Hip Hop Day, Juneteenth, but no real domestic policy. Actually, if you could put the link up for the
article,
that particular article,
yeah, I'll get.
We actually got a lot more than what people think. The problem again is the messaging. We have a DNC that has had two really bad leaders in terms of how they spit out the narrative. But this article, it says it's a challenge, but here are the things that he did. And so one of the first things that they talked about in this piece is that one of the promises made was that he promised, mind you, he got a 6.3% unemployment rate. And a lot of the Black unemployment was 9.2%, which was above that national average. And what Joe Biden did was then he did another economic stimulus package of $1,400 checks to help bring that down. But he also opened up a whole lot of jobs with the rescue plan, right? And gave 7.2 million jobs plus an additional 4 million with the rescue plan. And the Black unemployment rate has lowered to the lowest it's ever been under Joe Biden. Under Joe Biden, the national unemployment rate is 3.9%. We went from a 9.2% unemployment, Black unemployment under Trump and other presidents. Under Joe Biden, it went down to 5.6%. So while it's still higher than the national average, it's lower than what it was. And so we can't say that is something that hasn't been done for Black people, okay? Because he specifically made sure that a lot of those jobs, particularly those jobs, those recovery rescue jobs and the CHIPS Act, don't forget the CHIPS Act, and those jobs went to minority serving communities, okay? Specifically Black and brown communities. And there's some other things that he did too, like the climate change and recognizing that there is climate injustice, particularly in our communities. We're talking about let's not forget the Flint water crisis, the water crisis in Jackson, Mississippi. Remember, the governor decided he was going to take over the thing from the mayor so that he could keep Black people in Jackson still struggling for water. Okay? Yes. But we don't want to talk about that, right? But what Joe Biden did was that he tried to increase the number of climate-friendly jobs. He put forth a $2 trillion plan that would help do that would improve water systems in places like Jackson, in Flint. And guess what? That $2 trillion package never got approved in the House because of the Republicans.
Thank you.
Let's be very clear. The people in Flint still have poor water. The people in Jackson still have crappy water because Republicans don't want them to be healthy. Okay?
No.
So I encourage you to read this piece. It's in Capital B News, and they list point by point all the promises he made that were going to help the Black population specifically, and what his progress has been, but also what the roadblocks are. And what you're going to find out is that those roadblocks got MAGA written all over them.
Yep. They will not let anything pass, guys. I mean, they just won't. Everything
like Lala said, they don't want us to have a thing.
Right. Right. Exactly. That's the truth, though.
We haven't had one of those in a long time.
I know, but I need one today because they are really making. I mean, I just can't.
Please read it, JJ Mars. Please read that, and then Dr. Vibe can also give you the link to the actual report that reflects on what Trump says he did for Black people versus what he actually did. And I think having those two things, and that's why I want to have this conversation. These were actually my topics, but I want to juxtapose those two things so that people can really look. If you're talking about what has so and so did for Black people compared to this person, and what has this person done for Black people, we got two choices in this presidential election. Yeah. That's it. These are the two choices. It's not going to happen. There's nobody that's going to come in and sweep. There's no Superman here. Okay. No. It's Joe Biden and it's Donald Trump. So now as Black folks, we need to decide who has done more in terms of helping us grow and build our economic wealth, our social wealth, our political strength and political power.
Yes.
Put those two records side by side and then make your decision.
Wow.
Aisha slammed it.
Yeah. Anything to add, LaLa? Anything to add?
Just don't believe the hype, because the narrative is that they want you to continue to think that he's not doing anything. When also, don't forget, he had to get in there and undo a lot of things that Trump had put into place and start putting things back in order of the chaos that he made. So we don't hear, and nor do we see, a lot of the things that happen behind the scenes, as we're not supposed to see a lot of things that are behind the scenes. But automatically and immediately, our relationship with the rest of the world had a deep breath sigh when Biden was put back into the office, because no one could deal with Trump. Trump was never there for any kind of working together. It was always, what can you get? What can you give me? And what can you give my family? Daughter and son-in-law making billions now from Saudi Arabia. So don't believe the hype. But do your own research. The article that Aisha has provided for us today really does outline a lot of the things that are being done. But then the things that you feel are not being done, I completely urge you to see why they were not done.
And
you're going to find the same answer every time.
Yeah, and you know, the last thing I will say actually about this is that we're going to talk about it later, but the main reason why you're not getting the things that you think that Black people should get is that we call Congress.
Yes, and it's a nightmare.
It has absolutely nothing to do with Joe Biden. It's Congress. It's the kindergarten Congress. Okay.
Kindergarten Congress. She nailed it.
Okay. All right. Let's catch up with some comments. JG Mars says many Black Americans are upset with Biden because of the attention and resources given to other groups.
But let me just make the point about that. Let me be very clear about that. Attention, support given to other groups, blah, 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 blah. Guess what? It's not him. It's not him. That's why I say read the report and you'll find out all the things that Black people wanted. It didn't happen because the GOP in the House and the Senate stood in the way. Because guess what? Conquer and divide.
That's right.
That is their plan. And if you can make Black people mad at these other groups getting other resources, and then you can blame the person in the White House now, they won't vote for him. But guess what? The person standing in the way in the Senate for all of these things getting passed was a Black man. Tim Scott.
Yes, Tim
Scott stood in the way of all those things that we wanted, of the George Floyd Policing Act, of the Voting Rights Act. He stood in the way. And you know why? Not because he doesn't, not because he cares about Black folks, because Tim Scott wants to be vice president.
Yeah, so bad. And he doesn't understand he's not a part of the plan.
He wants to be so bad. He wants to be vice president so bad. He reminds me of that scene in New Jack City. I'm not going to say the line because it's graphic. But when Ice-T has the gun on Nino Brown and says, "I want to shoot you so bad, my blanket's freaking..."
Yeah.
That's Tim Scott. He wants to be vice president so bad. So bad, he's horny about it.
Yeah.
All right. JG Mars says, we get Hip Hop Day, Juneteenth, but no redressive policy. Jen says, doing well, Dr. Vibe. Hope you're doing well also. Regina says she's dog tired. Many 20-year-olds running around in my house this weekend, taking a chill session with y'all. She says, nobody cares about facts, though. High inflation is the biggest issue. We're back to 1992, fallacies of an emotional argument.
Yes.
Yep. And that whole thing is that, remember, not only that, but remember, $700 billion went to tax cuts for the rich. We're paying
That
for it.
is with a B.
Right. We're paying for it now, because remember, I think this is one thing that I need to remind our viewers of, but I want American people to know this. I want Black people to know this. When they sign a law into effect in Congress, it has a start date. It also has an end date that it needs to be recertified. The start date is never immediately. The start date can be as little as 6 months out. It can be as far as 2 years out. Guess what the payback on Trump's tax cuts for the rich? Guess when that payback started?
Immediately.
2021. And guess who was president at that point?
See, but they never want to see that.
Joe Biden. And so people are blaming Joe Biden for the thing that we're having to pay for because something that Trump signed in 2017. Okay, but
but that's also with every presidency too, guys. I mean, we're talking about now and currently.
That's just how Congress works.
Many times people blame the current administration for things that was done in the previous administration, not understanding that it wasn't the current administration's issue at all. And I don't understand why they don't understand that. I mean,
no, they don't understand that. The other part that they don't understand too is that, your state legislatures only have a part-time legislative session. So January to June, that is the only time. And I also put this in our Discord group for you all to check out, because I found an article in my state that said that most of the bills that would have helped Black people, poor people, people of color, women, ended up dying in committee. Never even got to the floor because they never even got out of committee.
Wouldn't even talk about it.
Never even got out of committee. And I'm like, what the hell were you all doing all this time? But you got to remember, in state legislatures, the majority of the bills die in committee. Now, if that happens in state legislatures, think about the federal government.
Yeah.
Look, we're going to talk about what happened in this meeting and why they had that meeting in the first place. But they spent all Thursday on stuff having to do with impeachments of people in the Biden administration, not anything having to do with reducing the debt or inflation or anything. They have wasted a whole session trying to impeach Joe Biden and got nothing done. At least Democrats can walk and chew gum at the same time. They can impeach Donald Trump and pass a healthcare bill at the same time. I mean,
and they're trying to even give him a medal. What are they trying to give Trump a medal?
They want to give him a congressional medal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
we'll talk about that after, because a couple people got dropped on the head. I may have gotten kicked in the head, but
all right. JJ Mar says, I'll read it. For those who are watching on replay on most platforms, I have sent the link for both articles about achievements of Biden and then what has 45 done for African Americans. So the links are there. Look in your comment section. I've sent the links for both conversation pieces. Next up, we've got, Sylvia asks, why is there a need to prove that the Republican Party in 45 when it's right?
I guess they're jokes right in front of when it's right in our faces. Exactly, Sylvia. I ask myself.
Yeah, Sylvia, I'm on you with that one.
I ask myself that question every day. It's right there. It's right there. The fact that they canceled a vote in a meeting and rescheduled it for 8 p.m. so that they could go and show up to a courthouse and violate the gag order on Donald Trump's behalf tells you that these are very unserious people.
Yeah, it's all a big joke from them. All a huge joke.
And
look, and Lauren Boebert and her sign of the cross. It wasn't even a cross. What is this?
She didn't even know what the cross was.
Wearing glasses doesn't make you smart, boo. Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay. Regina says, no brain worm to the rescue.
Unfortunately, no. And I really think
All right. We are going to do a TO. That's not Terrell Owens, but a timeout. That's another character, but that's another whole conversation in itself. We're going to take a break, and next, we'll do that when we come back. We'll come back. So we're going to take a little bit of a break, and then we are going into a heavy subject that if it may not be comfortable to everyone. So I'm going to warn you when we come back on that. So hold tight for 2 minutes.
And that's what I feel like. You feel like you're the Harriet Tubman of the mind.
I am.
I feel like I'm I'm one of the Harriet Tubmans of intelligent Black people. Like, I want to liberate y'all from like being left behind and ignored and oblivion. No, really, the rappers get all the attention. Seriously, does anybody else feel this way? Like ignorant Black people, they'll be all up, getting all the headlines on the Shade Room.
Overly sexualized Black folks.
Like the twerkers and the, just people that, don't always represent the best of us, the diversity, like people like Dr. Vibe. Like, everybody should know about people like Dr. Vibe. Dr.
Really
Vibe he's trying to do good work for Black people. Dr. Vibe from Toronto. Good to see you, my brother. Dr. Vibe. Everybody follow Dr. Vibe. He has a great show. He's very good at what he does, and I have a lot of respect for him. The men who are also doing the same thing. I see Dr. Vibe in here. He's a great brother. Everybody should follow Dr. Vibe, by the way. He's a smart brother in Canada, and we need to follow smart people. So follow Dr. Vibe. If you see him in the chat, and Dr. Vibe, say your name in the chat so people can see you. I want you to click on his name, and I want you to go follow him, please, because I want these men and women that are doing the right things to get the support they deserve. Hey, Dr. Vibe, how you doing, brother? Again, like I always do, I got to say everybody should go follow Dr. Vibe. He's got a great show. Dr. Vibe, I know Dr. Vibe's got a kingdom because I see your channel. I see you pouring into that every day. Everybody should follow Dr. Vibe, by the way. Look him up, Dr. Vibe, Vibe. He's a great friend of me and my wife, and I love this guy.
Okay, so let me hop into this. What's up, Dr. Vibe? How you doing? Everybody, if you see Dr. Vibe in the chat, everybody go follow the Dr. Vibe show. Dr. Vibe is a real smart brother and a good human being. I like the guy a lot, and he's very intelligent. And I think everyone should pay attention to what he's got going on. We got to shine the spotlight on the intelligent Black people out here that are really doing the good work. Don't just pay attention to the rappers and the celebrities. A lot of these people are losers. Your true winners are your people in your community that are really having your back. Helping us to have stronger families and a stronger community. So Dr. Vibe is in that category. So you might see the Dr. Vibe show in this chat. If you see him, please go follow him. Okay. All right. So anyway.
All right. We are back broadcasting live on May 18th, Primetime Saturday with Aisha K and Aisha LaLa. All right. So before we get into this next conversation piece, this may trigger some people. So warning ahead of time, if this is uncomfortable, please feel free to back away from your screen, or if you're listening to this, back away from it. We understand, but it is an important topic that we're going to be chatting about, and it needs to be chatted about. So this one, Sean Diddy Combs video came out showing him physically assaulting Cassie Ventura in 2016. And the surveillance video was obtained by CNN, which is it. There's a lot of variables to this story, but I'm going to let the ladies, I want you to chime in first on this.
Well, I had an extremely hard time watching that video. I physically got ill. What he did, there is no alleging, that is him, to that woman was the most disgusting, vile, animalistic thing that anyone can do to another human. And people have been telling us this for years, but it keeps getting swept under the rug. He has a lot of people that protect him. The fact that this came out now when this was done 8 years ago is disgusting, that someone would actually take money to keep that video hidden. I also want to let people know that that hotel is no longer in business in LA. So a lot of people are concerned about why don't they get shut down when they're already shut down? And I have a feeling that that is tied into this as well, because it's been said that it was $50,000 that was given to the person to keep this hidden. I still feel like there was much more and threats involved. This also gives much more credibility to the other things that he has been accused of and is being looked at by our government. But my thing is, why do you always put women on the back burner when they are telling you from the very beginning what is happening to them? You choose to look the other way. Personally, I have not been in a domestic abuse situation. I've been in a sexual abuse situation. But abuse is abuse, and secrets always come to light. There should never, ever be a time to have family secrets, to have secrets, to have secret pinky swear. Never when it comes to someone's safety and health and those who cannot help themselves. That's the only words that I can say because I don't have anything else other that is any harsher than that. Than the fact is, believe women when they tell you, because it's happening, and it's always rooted in truth somewhere. You have to look for the truth and stop ignoring the cries for help, and that's all I have to say.
All right. I'll just before Aisha gets on, Fitness IQ sends the video did shock me. Also says another one bites the dust, canceled. She also says, but as you said, LaLa, 2024 is when things will be exposed. And she also says, LaLa, didn't you know Black women need to stand by their abuser and bite their lips?
That's what we're taught. But everybody failed Cassie. Do you understand? Everybody failed Cassie, from her parents, her friends, or so-called friends, the industry, and anyone who said that they loved her and didn't support her and allowed it to continue to go on. The system failed. An abused woman is trapped. She's trapped in her own mind. She's trapped in her own body. And sometimes they can't escape it. Cassie was blessed to come away alive.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to talk a lot because I actually have been in that situation. And I will never be rid of my abuser because we share a child. Actually, as a matter of fact, just 3 weeks ago, I had to see him at her graduation 2 weeks ago. People online keep saying, well, why didn't she leave? Do you know how many times women do try to leave those situations? I can tell you how many times I tried to leave, but the support wasn't there. And so the only stability I had was in that situation. It was the only thing that I knew that was consistent in my life. So I went back. But also too, when you try to leave, that is the most dangerous time. You are more likely to die trying to get out of these relationships. So when I saw that video, I can't describe the feeling that I had because I saw what I was watching, but I was seeing it in my eyes because I've been Cassie standing at that elevator like, oh, please let this elevator come before he comes out the door to get me. And I saw what he did to her. And, in 2001, I can't tell you what we were fighting about. We fought about everything. But my daughter's father, I was trying to leave. He did drag me back from the door the same way Diddy dragged Cassie on the ground. I was like on the ground screaming, and he's dragging me back by my hair, threw me on the bed, stood up on the bed above me. I'm 5'2", he's 6'3". Stood up on the bed and jumped on my head, shoes and all, continuously, over and over again. I came away from that with a broken arm. He's broken fingers. He's broken toes. There was one time we were sitting in a car fighting about something. I had to go into a bank, and he was mad because the bank was about to close, and I didn't mention earlier I needed to go into the bank, and it started to snow in South Carolina. And people don't know how to drive in the snow in South Carolina. So I was trying to get out the car. Automatic locks, he locked the door. He had on steel-toed boots. He kicked me for about maybe 30 minutes or so. The next morning I woke up and I went in the bathroom and I saw from my shoulder to my elbow, black and purple. From my hip to my knee, black and purple. I called my mom and I said, I need to come home to Connecticut. I need to come home. I couldn't tell her why. I'd seen domestic violence growing up, so I couldn't tell my mother why. I didn't want to tell her why. I was embarrassed. College degree, graduate degree, I'm embarrassed that I let my boyfriend do this to me, and I'm still here. Good job, everything, and I'm just embarrassed. So I go home. I didn't tell anyone. I'm wearing long sleeves. It's May. I got in the shower, got out the shower, was walking back to the bedroom at my mother's house, back to my old bedroom. And my mother saw the bruises from my shoulder to my knee. And I was so mad at her when she said this at the time. But I understand it now. But I was so mad. My mother, I wanted my mom to rescue me. I wanted her to say, come home, please don't go back. My mother said to me, when you've had enough, you'll leave.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so mad at her, I went back. Because I'm like, you're useless. You did nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But she actually did a whole lot, because the truth of the matter is that it wouldn't have mattered if my mother tried to save me at that time. I would have went back. I went back several times. Left, went back several times. And then I got pregnant. My daughter was born in Connecticut only because he thought I was lying to him about being pregnant. We left a doctor's appointment. The doctor didn't see anything on the ultrasound, but I was bleeding. And so the doctor thought that I was having a miscarriage and told me I needed to keep my feet up and stay in bed until Monday, and he would check my blood again. He was on his way out to go cheat and had put his keys on top of my refrigerator in my apartment. Did not realize that he did that. He thought I took them so he couldn't cheat. The girl even had the nerve to call my apartment. But because he couldn't find the keys and he thought it was my fault, I'm standing up and I'm telling him, I don't have your keys. He pushed me and I fell backwards onto the floor on my back, newly pregnant, thinking I'm having a miscarriage anyway. And I immediately went to the emergency room. They told me I was fine and that I was actually, no, your pregnancy's fine. I left. I'm like, no, I'm not losing this kid because this man's not going to beat this child out of me. I left. He followed me eventually when she was born. I tried to leave again. When my daughter was born, 2 weeks later, he was like, well, let's go back to South Carolina. We're going to be a family. The whole spiel that they always tell you. It got worse. And that last year, I got to a point where I'm like, you're not putting your hands on me anymore without me fighting back. And I started fighting back. There was one time when we were fighting. This is before that last year, but we were fighting, and he was hitting me, and I grabbed his tie. He had a bow tie. He used to wear bow ties. He wears bow ties a lot. He actually wore a bow tie to this graduation the other day, and I was so sick looking at it. But I grabbed the bow tie and pulled it tight, and could see that he was struggling to breathe. I just wanted him to let go of me. And he was struggling to breathe. And then the baby cried. So I let go of the bow tie. And I've always wondered to myself, what if she didn't cry? Would I have let go? But what made me say enough was enough. I mean, he's had us in the car with me and the baby in the car, my daughter in the car, in garage with the car running, like, oh, all three of us are gonna die. When I left, when I knew enough was enough, was he come to my house one day really late. He was supposed to visit my daughter. She was 3. We weren't seeing each other. He was supposed to come visit really late. And he was bringing me an insurance card for my daughter. I reached down. He threw it at me. The car window down, threw it at me. So I reached down into the window to get the card off the floor. And he floored the car so that the latter half of my body that was outside the car would have hit my mailbox, which was in the South, one of those brick fixtures. And he floored my car. And he turned into my driveway. I got out the window, walked up to my car, to my house, and he got out the car and started following me, just talking behind me. I said, please leave me alone. Please leave me alone. Please leave me alone. My walkway was lined with bricks, so I picked up a brick and I threw it at his car window. It bounced off. And then, of course, that made it worse because he just decided to make a joke of it. And I went in the house and he followed right behind me. I got a knife. He turned around and he was like, oh my God, what do you have a knife? I knew I wasn't going to hurt him. I went and I just took the stuffing out of his seats in his car because I'm like, just go away. So he called the police on me. And he told the police that I had physically assaulted him and had been abusive for years. And that's when I knew that was when I knew. I called one of my friends and said, I'm leaving my debit card under the mat here. You might have to come pick up Maya, but I'm definitely gonna need to be bailed out of jail because this cop is sitting in my face telling me I should be thankful that he called the police to stop me from doing something dangerous. I should be thankful. Meanwhile, and Dr. Vibe, you can show those pictures now. This is what was on my body.
Okay. Give me a second to get to that.
I actually allowed Dr. Vibe to show pictures of what was left on my body that time. Hopefully he can get it.
Hopefully, give me a second here, screen.
But they are bruises. And one of those bruises that you see, actually several of those bruises that you see are actual fingerprints. Those are his fingerprints in my skin. His fingerprints in my skin. And if one of them I actually enlarged enough, you can actually see the spirals in his fingerprints in my bruise. So I hear what you're saying, JJ Mars, and that people better judgment is necessary when picking a mate. Let me tell you something. Men are very good at pretending to be something different than who they are. You don't always know who a person is until you don't know who a person is until they actually show you. And in the beginning of a relationship, people don't always show you. For example, I didn't know this until months later. We'd already been living in close proximity at this point. So there was that. I was afraid to leave my apartment. Let me tell you something. We've had a contentious relationship ever since. We've been co-parenting since 2005. Most of the parenting part has been left on my doorstep, and I don't mind it at all. But I will tell you, when my daughter graduated and she was inviting her dad, she's like, well, I invited my dad. I I was fine with it because her relationship with her father is her relationship with her father. It has nothing to do with me. My relationship with him is different. So I don't stand in the way of that. But I can tell you that when I saw him and he tried to hug me, first of all, he called my sisters by, and this is what abusers do. He called my sisters by their names. He called my mom by her name. When he said hi to me, he said, "Hi, miss." And then he tried to hug me and my body went so rigid. My sister saw it, my mother saw it. So I know that he felt it and I know that his mother saw it. I just didn't want my daughter to see it. And thankfully, when that happened, she was down with the rest of the graduates. But the tension that I felt, knowing I'm going to have grandchildren with this dude and I'm still going to have to see him. I try very hard to not forget, but put a lot of what happened in the past. But I'm going to tell you something. I didn't start having seizures for no reason.
Well, Aisha, I didn't know before we came on live tonight that you would go in like this. I want to bless you first for sharing your experience with the audience. I want to bless you also for still being alive.
Yeah. And in the end, that was the main goal. And that was the thing that kept me going the whole time. I need to be alive to take care of my daughter because there was no one else who was going to. And I sure wasn't going to let him do to her what he did to me.
Wow. Well,
I honestly, you never say that you would hurt someone, but I would have harmed him if he tried that. There was actually one time when we were back and forth and we were at my dad, my daughter, he had my daughter over the weekend with his parents, brought her back to my dad's house. I was at my dad's house and he was just mad at me for no reason. I don't even know what he was mad about. We weren't even talking at that point, but I think that this was the point where he had gotten another woman pregnant and didn't want me to know about it. But he was mad and he had taken the car seat out of his car with my baby in it and threw the car seat on the floor at my dad's house and walked out the door. Mama Bear kicked in and ran after him and jumped through the car window. And fists were flying. And at this point, I was really tiny at that point. I was like 120 pounds at that point. My dad is a big dude, 6'5", stocky. My uncle, who happened to drive up just as this was going on, 6'7", big built guy. It took both of them to pull me off of this man. And then he called my dad and said, "I don't know, your daughter just went crazy. She all of a sudden hit me with this Muhammad Ali 1-2 punch combo. And oh my God, she lost her mind. Something's wrong with her. You need to put her in a hospital." And my father said to him, "Okay," hung up the phone and looked at me and said, "You handled business." That was probably the only time I got from anyone in my life that I did what I needed to do in that situation.
All right. Obviously, with the family here, there are comments I just want to share. Fitness IQ says, "That's true, LaLa. The system did fail." JJ Mars, said, "Diddy and many others do this. He's guilty, no doubt." He also says, "But I've known guys who have played professional ball, and many women will target a man with resources and tolerate abuse for a future payoff. Not saying all women do this, but some will." Fitness IQ.
I just have to say this. That's what things appear. Let me tell you something. When I started dating my daughter's father, he was a research analyst. He was a quote unquote catch. And for the longest time, people kept telling him and blowing him up, thinking that, oh, that's why I was with him, when I was the one who had more education and a higher level job and was making more. At some point, he had messed up so bad in his life that he was frying chicken at KFC. Okay? So let's be very clear. There are some women who no one wants to be beaten for a payday. It is not worth it. It hurts too much. I'm going to tell you, physically, it hurts. No one wants to be slapped, hit, punched, kicked. anything, because you got to take care of that.
Okay. Fitness IQ Cam says, I'm sorry this happened to you, Aisha, and other women as well. Excuse me. Regina says, I was watching the video as a horror story. Quote, take the stairs. Don't wait for the elevator. Because, like, unquote, because like other survivors I know, getting away fast is critical. Hugs, Aisha and LaLa.
But you're thinking at that, exactly, Regina, but you're thinking at that time is so scatterbrained, you just want to get away. And you're like, the fastest way. We always think that elevators are fast. It'll get me downstairs fast. But if I have to run down the stairs, I might trip, I might fall, something, or he'll catch up. If I'm in an elevator, I'm in a closed space, he can't get it. It's like that. Your level of thinking, your degree of thinking, and how you think when you're in that situation is just so screwed up. I can't even tell you. There are times I sit and I'm like, what the heck was I thinking? Now that I can think rationally about that situation. But when you're in the heat of it, it's just like, you just want to get away. You can't breathe. Everything's on like peak energy. And the reason I'm sharing this is because that video disturbed me so bad, because I had that exact same experience in watching that. I was like, I'm watching myself right here, right now. I never liked Diddy. I always thought he had something to do with Biggie's death. I still think he had something to do with Kim Porter's death, but that right there solidified it for me that he is trash. Always has been, always will be. He will never change. And money didn't make it any better. And a lot of the stuff that I'm telling you all tonight that happened to me, this is the first time I'm saying a lot of it out loud. I've written it down. I've said it to myself. I've replayed the tape of my life over and over and over again. But, I couldn't even tell my mom half of this because my mom said to me that she couldn't bear to hear it.
Got it. Okay. Fitness IQ Cam says, JJ Mars, that is less than 1% irrelevant for that. He also said, it's just a better judgment is necessary when picking a mate. Shaq's former wife just confessed she never liked him, but wasn't it for the money? I don't think violence was involved, but this says a lot about people and society. Fitness.
Before you go on to the next comment, JJ, I've said a lot of things about how I feel about my daughter. Look, if you ask me right now, if you were to ask me last week or 2 weeks ago at the graduation, did I ever really like my daughter's father? I would have told you no. I can't stand him. I never liked him because he's an idiot. He's a jerk and he's mean. But the truth is, right now, sitting here being perfectly honest, because she wasn't being 100% honest, being perfectly honest, I loved him.
And also, I need to set this in the record. Shaq came out completely supportive of her and said he wasn't lovable at that time. And he felt like I wouldn't love myself either. So there's so much backstory to that. And I also think that when you're young, you don't quite exactly know what you're really looking for. Their case is a lot different.
And they were together a long time.
What's going on with Diddy and Cassie.
Mm-hmm. And let's be clear, he preys on really young women. Misha, his first child's mother was 16, 17, and this is a grown man on her. Cassie, barely 18. So let's be very clear, okay, about who this is. And also, if you really want to know the truth about who he is, let's not forget that his son put out a diss track last week about him. And his father, and that's the son whose father is Albie Shore. Okay.
Right. Fitness IQ Cam says, hearts for you, Aisha. Also, she says, again, people change throughout the years, so having a better judgment is irrelevant. If people change and have a mask on.
Right. that is exactly it. People change. Having better judgment is irrelevant because people wear masks. He was very good. He had my parents, my family, everybody fooled into thinking that he's this straight upstanding guy because he wears suits and bow ties and loafers. Meanwhile, he was a mean.
Okay. Police officer SMD. And Regina says exactly, these creeps hide who they are. And Fitness IQ says another SMD to him, respectfully, Aisha.
So, having said all that, and these being our perspectives on the video, but also sharing that experience. One of the reasons I wanted to share the experience is because sometimes Cassie's one of those people we're watching from the celebrity eyes. I'm somebody that you guys touch every week. And I can tell you what I went through. I haven't even told it all. Like the fact I just told you all that he jumped on my head. I've never shared that with anyone other than one of my male friends. And to be perfectly honest, his roommate was in the room next door when that happened with his 6-year-old daughter and his girlfriend. And so no one came to my rescue. No one called the police. Everyone was quiet. And he was screaming at me. And when I say, I still to this day remember laying down on the bed and seeing him standing above me and seeing his feet coming down on my face. I've had him rip out clumps of hair and throw it at me. Yeah, so it was pretty bad. I would say the only people that might have had it worse are the women who had to live with R. Kelly. But I did want to tell you this. And the other reason is because I want anyone who's out there listening, please go, if you need to get help, please get help. We have a number. We have a resource for you. You can always find me on X at Aisha Staggers or on Instagram at AK Staggers if you want to know how to make a plan to get out. Because I think, honestly, for myself, when I did decide to leave, I had to plan it. It took time. I had to really plan my exit strategy because I had to make sure this man was not going to deal with me again. And the only thing I can say that helped push that further along was that he got another woman pregnant and had to focus on that.
LaLa, anything you want to add?
Leave women when they tell you. That's as simple as that. Even if at the time, maybe you see something and they're not saying something to you. You make it a point to let them know that you see them. You make the first step toward to ask them, do they need help? Because sometimes they don't know how to ask for help. And if they get mad or they go the opposite direction, you not everybody's going to fall into your arms and think that, you're the savior. When you're trapped, you're trapped. And just as Aisha said, in those situations, you feel like I'm smarter than this.
Yeah.
I shoulda, I coulda, I woulda. And you can't do that. Unfortunately, we hear a lot of these cases when it's too late.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not a crier. I think honestly one of the reasons I struggle to cry sometimes is because I cried all my tears in those years. But I told people in 100 different ways that I needed help. I never said I need help, but I told people in 100 different ways. We could even be in a grocery store and in the middle of a fight, and I would look at a little old lady and I'm trying to communicate to her with my eyes that I need help. When we get in the car, it's not gonna be good. But no.
I'd rather have somebody mad at me than them not be here.
Yeah. And what I've seen online is a lot of men. I've seen online a lot of men I've tried to help a woman I've seen getting beaten and she turned around and got mad at me. Let's be very clear. It's not that. It goes back to what my mother said. When you're ready to leave, you'll leave. She might not be ready, but the other thing too might be that if you intervene and they're living together and she has to go home, it is going to be worse. Because guess what? What you did to stop it, he's going to take that out on her. And I have had that one happen to me one time when someone did try to intervene. I got it. He whooped my because he couldn't get back at the person that pulled him away from me.
This is not going to be the last of this story, guys.
No,
It's
it's
going to
not.
be so much more worse than you think. If you thought that video was bad, you wait till you find out the rest behind this story, because to me, that was just a surface video, and that was just an easy beating for him.
Yeah. And people are talking about, oh, well, how'd this video get leaked out? All of a sudden, you know, they're trying. Let me tell you something. If you all do not remember, last month, the FBI raided Diddy's houses, and one of the things in those search warrants was videos, because they were trying to find evidence of him drug trafficking and sex trafficking. Someone as arrogant as that little, probably after he bought the video, stored it with all his other videos to hide.
Yeah.
And guess what? Somebody stumbled on it. But also, too, you don't say that someone's trying to blackmail you one day and then the next day pay them off exactly what they asked for.
I knew that in the beginning.
Probably pay them off. Make sure the transfer clears that day. Okay? I mean, look, because guess what? She had evidence. And not only did she have evidence, but if you read her complaint details exactly what you see in that video.
You know, I have to give big ups to her husband.
Yeah. Yes.
Because he has been nothing but supportive during this whole thing. And he's spoken up, and he's called out people very easily. He loves this woman, and he's making it a point to show his support for her. We need more like him.
And let me be very clear. People are talking about, oh, what about this video? Where is this? Honestly, because when I saw it and I felt it and I knew that for myself, that's why, like, me sharing this here, I had to prep people in my life, and I had to prep myself for sharing this. Like, I didn't give Dr. Vibe those pictures until today because I was afraid to go look at them again. But what I know is this: the fact that it was going to be on every news cycle, everyone was going to play it and replay it and replay it. It was going to be all over social media. She was not going to be able to run away from it. Makes me think that she knew it was coming and was prepped for it, because her husband's statement alone tells you, when he says men who abuse women are not men, and then he also went so far as to give the resource. The one thing that anyone who didn't expect something like this would happen would say is, please give my family privacy and respect our privacy.
He did not.
He did not say that. So that tells me that she knew that this was going to be coming forward. But guess what that also tells me? Because the silence on the other side tells me that fool also knew it was coming. And CNN contacted both of them. And guess what? When they contacted her camp, her husband took the call. He gave his statement. Her attorney took the call, gave his statement. Diddy, nobody knows where. It's like, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? Where in the world is Diddy Combs?
And I don't want you guys to forget that even though she may have been prepared, in quotes, prepared for this, doesn't mean she was prepared for this. You don't get over this. This will follow her, and she'll have flashes. Even though she may have therapy and support, it's still her story. It's still her mind. It's still her body. And she could easily just look a certain way and see something, and it will all come back to her again. So don't think just because she has a support system that this is over for her. It's not over for her. It could be very well just the beginning.
Yeah. And to be perfectly honest, people are like, well, he paid her, so she's no. You know what? My daughter's father, he could give me $500 million today, and I would need it, but I still remember the mental bruises don't go away, even though the physical ones do. And let's be perfectly clear: when you read her filing and her complaint, he didn't just physically beat her that way. Okay. He also was having his friends rape her while he watched.
Yes.
He was raping her. It was such a tangled web. And to be perfectly honest, remember too, her livelihood, her career was also dependent on this man.
Yes.
At least in my case, my work and my stuff was all on just me. I could parse that away from, but he was all up in every aspect of
move, her career,
every aspect of her life and her career. And she's from Connecticut like me. He was involved in every aspect of everything. But also too, let's be very clear. Tigers don't change their stripes. He was doing this to Kim Porter. There are stories from friends of Kim Porter that he made Kim Porter lick Cassie's tampons.
Yeah, so all sorts of
and
things.
That Cassie had laughed and giggled because she thought that she was different, and she was young, but she thought she was different. He wasn't going to treat her that way, but he did. There are pictures of Diddy and J-Lo going to the MTV Awards, and in the background, guess who was carrying J-Lo's purse? Kim Porter. So,
ooh, y'all, this is
this man.
Let
me tell you something. Let me tell you something. There is a reason this man did a song with R. Kelly. I Need a Girl. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
All right, I'm gonna move on with some more comments here. Fitness IQ Cam, I'll tell you what SMD means in the Discord. Waiting. Regina says he probably abused that woman too. I agree with you, Lala. If you see someone being abused, reach out. I finally told my abuser and was rescued from the monster. Regina also says even if the abuse gets mad at you, the inventory your intervention somewhere in their brain. Cam says it will get worse. She also says heavy. Excuse me. She also says I haven't experienced, but when I hear these stories, I feel it deeply. She says, "Cause I'll catch a case if my loved one goes through any of this." We got some other things. Good evening, Cinnamon Canella. Hope you are fine and safe. Sylvia Paris sends hearts and prayers and love. And
one more thing though is that the thing is that you always think it's not going to get worse than this. It can't get worse than this. I'm talking about myself on this, and I'm talking to myself here. How much worse does it get? A man stomping on your head. You mean it's going to get better?
They feel like if they die, it'll just be over.
And that's how I felt. And there were times when it was just like, God, just take me now. And those were the times before I had my daughter. A lot of these things that I'm explaining to you happened before I had my daughter. That's why I always say that she saved my life, because honestly, I don't know, I might have been end up on the episode of that show Fatal Attraction, because he told me this once and I believed him. I believe him, and I think that's why I'm so appreciative for having my daughter and having someone else to take care of. He told me that he said only one of us is getting out of this alive. Yeah. Only one of us is getting out of this relationship alive.
All right. So based on this conversation, I've shared it in the chat already, but I'm also going to put it on the screen. In the U.S., the National Domestic Hotline is 1-800-799-7233. I put that in the chat on most of the platforms that you are watching on, but not, you can screenshot it. Also in Canada, I couldn't find a number, but there is a website in Canada. Find family violence resources and services in your area, Canada. There is the link there. I've also put that on most of the platforms that people are watching, but again, you can screenshot that. All right. I think it'd be a good idea to take a break. So we're going to take a break for about a minute or so, come back and talk about such a fine working institution, the American Congress. It is just working so well.
Oh.
Right. All right. So we'll be back in a few moments. And yeah, so Regina, we're going to come back to you now in a few moments.
Wow, wow, wow. What an awesome discussion and interview with Dr. Vibe. You can see why he's so successful, has so many awards, has so many accolades. Dr. Vibe listens so well to the person he's interviewing, and he loves bringing out their story to share with his audience. My name is Ramon Ray, founder of smarthustle.com, and I just had a great experience sharing with Dr. Vibe and his audience about my journey. And I want to say a big thanks to Dr. Vibe, big thanks to your community, Dr. Vibe, because clearly you love what you do, and you're a shining beacon for us all to focus on entrepreneurship, be better fathers, grow our families, and live and have great businesses. So thank you so much. I can't wait to work with you again. You're an amazing, amazing interviewer and first-class professional. Thank you so much.
All right, Ramon Ray, thank you for the kind words. All right, we are back.
Bad Bill, Butch, yes.
There. So there's a different type of energy going on now. So we're talking about the state of Congress. So ladies, do you want me to try and play it first, or do you want me to set it up first?
You can set it up. Set it.
No, you guys, you ladies, it's your country. So I want you to set it up first, please.
Well, Congress was supposed to meet at 11 a.m. What was it, yesterday? Thursday? Wednesday. To meet, they were supposed to meet to talk about impeaching Merrick Garland and holding him in contempt, because there's some they want the video of the interview that Joe Biden did about the documents when they already have the transcript. And Merrick Garland was like, "No, you don't need the video. We got the transcripts." What? Because he realized that they want to use it for political purposes and to fundraise and also to impact the election interference.
Again.
Exactly. So they had a hearing about whether to put him in contempt of Congress for not doing that. They were supposed to meet at 11 o'clock, but Martha and the Vandellas had to go and show up at the courthouse in Manhattan, and they canceled that hearing. So they scheduled it for 8 o'clock. And at 8 o'clock, they were talking about it. And guess who? That Neanderthal Barbie, Marjorie Taylor Greene, went off the rails, talking, because she was trying, because here's the thing, if they're focusing on Merrick Garland, why were they bringing up things from the trial?
Right.
Bringing up things from the trial. Oh, well, which one of you Democrats works for or represents or works with Judge Merchan's daughter? That has nothing to do with Merrick Garland. That has absolutely nothing. That's a state case. That's not even a federal case. Okay. So they were going in there, and Marjorie Taylor Greene and her illiterate self was going off and off. And
like she always does.
And Jasmine Crockett said, "Do you know why we're here? This is not even what we're here to talk about." And she says, "Well, sorry, you probably can't read because of those false eyelashes." Now, let me tell you something. One, that was jealousy.
So much.
That was jealousy. One, that was jealousy. Two, Jasmine Crockett stood on business, because after she asked for a point of order to say, "Wait a second," because at first, Gomer Pyle was going to let that thing pass. Right? He was going to let it go through and leave it on the record that she said that about her. She physically attacked her appearance. So AOC asked for it to be stricken, but she
was not happy. Do you hear me? Mm-mm. She stood on her ground and said, "No, you're not going to let this stand in there."
Yep.
No, you're not.
And when somebody calls you baby girl as a person of color, and they call you baby girl and you are not a person of color, just know whatever comes after is not going to be nice. So Jasmine asked for a point of order, and the point of order she asked for was like, "Wait a second. So you're going to let that stand in the record that she insulted me? So now if I called somebody," she said somebody. Now Marjorie Taylor Greene said directly to her, "Maybe your false eyelashes." Jasmine Crockett didn't say no names. She didn't point no fingers. She just said bleach, blonde, bad built, butch body. And everybody knew who she was talking about. Because here's the thing. Hit dogs holler. If she wasn't talking about you, Marjorie, why'd you respond to the ad? Clearly, you knew you had a bleach, blonde, bad built, butch body. I would actually say the B word, but
wait, I need to make something very clear in the fact that Marjorie likes to skate the lines, and what she always does is she comes in to cause discord. She comes in to cause damage. She comes in to bark and run. And the thing is, Jasmine will not allow her to do that. She can stand toe to toe with her. And then she's stuck because she doesn't know what to say. Then she does personal insults. But I want you to mark my words, because this is not the first time that she has bit at her at all. So let me tell you, the next thing that's going to come out of her mouth on the floor, she's going to call her. You watch.
Oh, she's gonna say the N-word. And if they allow that, she's gonna say the N-word, because that's really what she wants to say. Because
that's exactly.
I mean, Jasmine has had enough. Marjorie comes for her all the time. And
all the time.
I'm sorry. At this point, almost 2 years into this, I'd be tired of her. And like Jasmine said, she's always talking. And then
not knowing what they even doing.
And those are her words. And you want me to take it? But what got me after that was the fact that people were like calling her ghetto. Well, the trailer park trash started it.
I know it. Marjorie
expects everybody to bow down to her. Calm down. I'm sorry. There's something that you never say to a Black woman who has faced a microaggression, and calm down is not them words. You say that just makes the situation worse. That's like putting a match on gasoline.
AOC
on the fire.
AOC is the one who was like, wait a minute. We don't do this. You don't talk about the way people look. You know, and if you did it, you better be ready to get it thrown back into your face. I am tired of her. She needs to go. She is nothing but garbage, and she spews garbage, and she spews hate, and people think that she's walking roses. Yep. Everybody knows that she is the weakest link, and I don't know at what point. You see what I'm saying? Why? It's such a self-hatred thing. Yeah. And you know, people they fight for that they're fighting against are the exact same things that they're doing. And it's hypocrisy.
Yeah. And you know, people forget, right? Let's not forget, before Mark Meadows became Trump's lapdog, he was a member of Congress. And if you recall that time that Elijah Cummings was the chair of of one of those committees, and Mark Meadows said something off, and Rashida Tlaib said what he said was racist. She didn't call him a racist. She said what he said was racist. Yeah. They called a point of order on her for saying that. Now, mind you, what she said did not violate the rules.
No.
The rules say you can't call someone a name in Congress. You can't physically attack their person. Okay? And Rashida Tlaib got censured for that.
All right, I'm going to see if I can play some of the content from this.
Oh, Lord.
Okay, I'm going to see if I can play some of the content. So let's
I've been saying those 6 words, those 6 B words. That's my vocal exercises.
Okay, so let's see if you hear this. Let's go.
The Democrats on this committee are employing Judge Merchan's daughter.
Please tell me what that has to do with Merrick Garland.
Is she a porn star?
Oh, Goldman. That's right. He's advising. Okay.
He's advising who? What? Do you know what we're here for? You know we're here about AG.
I don't think you know what you're here for.
Well, you the one talking about.
I think your fake eyelashes are messing up.
No, ain't nothing.
Hold on.
Listen.
Order,
Mr. Chairman.
That's beneath
even the order of your committee.
Order,
please.
There's a point of order. We have a point of order. Mr. Lynch, state your point.
I'd like to know if any of the
Okay, so that's video 1.
And just before you go to the next video, just so you know, some of my sources on Capitol Hill said that some of those people on the right side of the aisle were drinking that night.
All right, so let's go to next video.
I don't know about y'all, but I can't drink on the nobody should be drinking on the job.
Okay, so this is next video.
Point of order, and I would like to move to take down Ms. Green's words. That is absolutely unacceptable. How dare you attack the physical appearance of another person?
Are your
Move
feelings hurt?
her words down. Oh, girl, baby girl.
Oh, really?
Won't even play.
Baby girl?
We are gonna move and we're gonna take your words down.
I second that motion.
So who will have to pay it? Okay. All right. We're suspending.
All right. That's round 2.
And notice the men. Notice the men. Just useless. Useless.
All right. All right.
But wait, after you show the next clip, there's something I do want to say that Marjorie said in the clip that I didn't get to show you guys because I'm really insulted. I personally am insulted by what she said.
Okay, hold on.
Look, Marjorie Taylor Greene physically, she verbally attacked me by saying this.
Okay, hold on. Let me get to the right share here. And it's Jasmine. All right, just bear with me. Okay. Okay, here we go. Right, here we go. Let me just wind it back a little bit. Here we go.
Just to better understand your ruling, if someone on this committee then starts talking about somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body, bleach blonde, bad built butch body.
So that was someone made a tripod.
Karen Moskowitz did that, who also sits on that committee.
All right, so
that is so funny.
All right, so here we go. Additional comments.
Well, then the conversation after that, Marjorie Taylor Greene said, "I think I have a good-looking body." Now, this is how you know she knew she was be talked about, because she said, "I think my body looks pretty good. I'm about to be 50 next month, and I think I look pretty good." Marjorie, you're insulting me because I'm about to be 50 in September, and there is no way that you and I were born in the same decade, not even the same year.
Yeah. Yeah.
You got the scowl in the face of somebody who has lived, okay? Somebody who has lived.
She physically makes me ill. I cannot stand this woman. I can't. I just don't have much patience for people anymore, especially in our government. And she is the top one that I need to go, her and Bobblehead.
Yeah, but I gotta say this though. Black Twitter
wins again.
Black Twitter was quick with the responses because there are so many different remixes and diss tracks using those 6 words.
And I talked about Black Twitter on our 10 and 10, by the way. So if you guys want to hear about Black Twitter and how much of a history there is there, you don't want to miss our 10 and 10.
We sure did talk about it, but let me tell you something. The way that people just it had a hash. This happened at 8 o'clock at night, okay? No, 10 o'clock at night. Let me take it back.
Yeah.
But the hearing started at 8. This happened around 10 o'clock at night. I couldn't go to sleep because people had me cracking up laughing on Twitter till like 4 o'clock in the morning, including Miss Crockett herself.
I know.
People were just like up. This is the thing. It's funny. It's sad at the same time. It's funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is politics is engaging.
This is where we are.
Engage though, but engage, it is exciting because guess what? You sit there and you'd be like, wait a second. Because even though it's funny, but once you get past the laughter, you're like, wait, did she just say what?
Yeah.
And this was about what? But Jasmine also said something very serious earlier in the meeting that didn't get the same.
But that's what they're doing. They're covering up all the stuff that is really being talked about, and what got the press.
Right. And the thing that she was saying was that what they were doing was like, we're here to hold him in contempt of what for what. You're still not, the thing is that she said, this should have been done weeks ago. You couldn't impeach Joe Biden. So now you're trying to get something else to help your dear leader.
Yes.
Because he can't go out and campaign. But he is free on Wednesdays, according to Joe Biden.
Okay. All right. So if you haven't caught the story, definitely catch the remix. The gifts are hilarious. They are hilarious.
They are funny.
They are so
yes,
hilarious.
They are so funny. Wait. Somebody said the FBI had now modified their description of the DNC and RNC pipe bomber to bleach bomb.
Oh Lord.
No.
That's crazy.
You have to go. People are wilding out on that one. So it's what she deserves.
All right.
Yeah, no, honestly, that she, like I said, she always wants to dish it, but she can never take it back.
And
She's
the draft
finally met her match. She's really met her match. I like AOC. There are some things that AOC kind of gets on my nerves with sometimes, and she will bite back. So I do commend her for biting back. However, the perfect bite back is always going to be Jasmine.
Jasmine doesn't play. And here's the other thing too that people forget. Jasmine's an attorney.
Yes.
When you look, when you barely got your GED, you are a dumb fool if you think you're going to go up against an attorney, somebody who was trained and paid to argue for a living.
Yeah.
Okay. Not only that, but she also has more legislative experience than you do, being that she had been in the Texas State House for years.
Right.
And people think Jasmine, and that's the other thing too that Marjorie is forgetting. Marjorie seems to think that she's dealing with some young chick, right? That Jasmine's in her 20s or early 30s. Jasmine's in her 40s. Okay, this is not a young woman. No, I'm not calling her old, but this is not no spring chicken.
Right. Like she's not
no little girl.
School.
Mm-hmm. Right.
All right. Last conversation piece. This week celebrated the 70th anniversary of Brown versus Board of Education. Thoughts, ladies? 70 years.
Yeah, Joe Biden gave an excellent speech at the NAACP to commemorate this. He had the Little Rock Nine, who integrated Little Rock Central High School in Little Rock, Arkansas, that Sarah Sanders tries to abuse. In 1957, they were there. I think that he also remember he's giving the commencement speech at Morehouse tomorrow, but he talked about what that history meant in that I don't think people understand what the purpose of Brown versus Board of Education. The Brown family, let me give you a little history. The Brown family, their daughter had to walk, almost 2 hours to get to school. Kindergartner, first grader, had to walk 2 hours to get to the quote unquote colored school and pass like 2 white schools on her way. And the argument was, why does she need to do that when there's a school right here? This article says that 1 in 3 Black people say integration didn't help Black students. There were some fallbacks said to integration of schools, public schools, for sure, because one of the things is that there were Black teachers who taught. Remember, at segregated schools, only the people who were of that race could teach in that school.
Right.
So when they closed the segregated schools, and let's be very clear, the segregated schools, the purpose of Brown wasn't to close those schools. It was to offer options.
Yes.
That's
what people don't understand.
That's what people don't understand. If there was a school closer to you, your child should be able to attend that school, as opposed to having to go to this other school and pass several schools, go to this other school, that's way out the way for them to go to.
Miles and miles away.
Because of the color of their skin. But the original goal was that, you know what, fund these schools. Because initially, one of the other cases wrapped in brown that people don't realize too came from South Carolina, and it was about a school bus. The Black families just wanted to get a school bus. They wanted a used, old school bus, from dilapidated school bus from an old school bus that the white schools had gotten rid of to take their kids to school. That was also one of the cases folded up into brown. People forget that brown wasn't just one case. It was a number of individual cases that they put together to make this argument that this isn't right. And also too, you know, the other thing that was also folded into brown was a case about equitable funding. If you're going to require segregated schools, then you need to fund. You can't say that they're separate but equal when you're not equally funding the Black schools. My mother went to a segregated school till she was 10. Right? My mother still here. Tomorrow, I think people forget.
This is really close in our history. These are our parents. These are our grandparents. These are one of the reasons they want to get rid of these pictures is all the great grandparents and the parents and because some of them are great, but these kids having kids, but you can still see their grandparents with these signs in the history books. So this is that close for us to be talking about when my parents went through it.
Yeah. My great aunt put it this way. My great aunt started teaching, I believe, in either 1956 or 1958. She's still alive and she is still teaching. And she started teaching at a segregated school. Okay. So, wow. Right. And so the thing of it is that people are like, oh, well, you know, Brown didn't do anything because integration didn't help Black students. No, but what you don't understand was that the oversimplification of how Brown has been explained is done by people who want to uphold white supremacy. Brown had several different things to it. It was, one, they wanted the school buses. They wanted equitable funding. They also wanted, Brown was the original school choice bill. That's what I don't think people understand that. They talk about school choice. Brown was about school choice because those parents didn't have a choice but to send their kids to this school, having to wake up 4 and 5-year-olds at 4:30 in the morning so that they could walk by themselves 2 hours to the school just to get a kindergarten education. So I think people don't realize. And then the closing of the segregated schools, the Black school, mind you, they didn't close the segregated schools. That would have meant they would have also closed the white schools, which are also segregated. They closed the Black schools. And just so you know, that wasn't because it was what people asked for with Brown. And it was, it was a response to Brown. That was retribution.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, what? Oh, we're going to close your schools, which means we're firing your teachers. And also, too, you put your kids in our schools and the doors are closed, we will treat them any way that we want, not care. So let's be very clear. That was never the intention of Brown. The intention of Brown was never for people to lose their jobs and for kids to be in places where they were going to be treated horribly. Because what I think the one thing that it did do, and remember, teaching was a job by the early 20th century. Initially, teaching was a job that was just for men because only men could go to college. But by the 20th century, teaching becomes this job for women, primarily white women. If white women weren't teachers or secretaries, they weren't working. Let's be very clear. And
there were still housewives.
Right. And a lot of that vitriol that we see in inherent in teachers today, in terms of young white teachers teaching young Black kids, it's not just that they don't like those kids. It's not just they don't see them as children. It's that they are taking out on those kids the fact that they couldn't get that $75,000 out the gate teaching job at a private school.
Right.
So I'm gonna take out my personal failures on these kids. And when in public schools, and let's be very clear, public schools do not serve Black children or children of color the way they should, because guess who you got up in your school boards? Moms of Liberty.
Ta-da! Pay attention.
The Planned Parenthood is real up in these school boards.
Very real. Very,
Okay?
very real.
They are the ones, remember, and mind you, Moms of Liberty, as we have said many times before, are the what version of what? They are the 2024 version of the White Citizens Councils, who initially formed in order to stop the integration of public schools because of Brown. And you want to know one of the other things that also Brown, people talk about Brown being the kickoff of the civil rights movement, but you do realize that the Brown decision in 1954, the school, guess what the states decided they just weren't gonna do it. So then there was Brown 2, 1955, early 1955, a year later, that said that they have to do it with all deliberate speed because they were going to try and slow walk it.
They were going to hold it up as long as they could.
A lot of them still did anyway. But guess what? One of those states that they said you need to speed this up to is Mississippi. And guess what happened a few months later in that year in Mississippi? Emmett Till was lynched.
Yep. You see the tie-in? It's so much deeper than that, y'all. It is really so much deeper than that. And I'm sorry to say that I really feel that we are going back this way. With everything that is happening, they are snatching things so fast that you never thought that they were ever going to take away from us. Their agenda is to get back to what they had those years, if not all the way back to slavery. Once they get back to what the 50s and 40s and all that was going on, then they're going to go back to putting us back into indentured slavery. I fully believe that.
And here's the funny thing about it is that they're not really targeting us first. Guess who they're coming after first to really get this stuff started? The people that they know will uphold white supremacy because they're the people that birth and raise the children of white supremacy, white women. This abortion thing, a lot of it is about white women. That speech that Butt Kiss or whatever his name is, or Kiss My Butt or whatever his name is, Butker, made at the school, that was about white women.
Yes, it was.
All right. As we go out, so on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being total waste, 10 being excellent, what is your thoughts about school integration, 70 years anniversary? Where's 0 to 10?
Here's the thing. I don't think you can do it that way because you've got to take it in context. The intention was not what the result ended up being.
Okay.
Okay. The intention and the results were different. I don't think that when they won the case and got the law that they were considering the retribution part of it at the time.
Yes.
And the things that we see now that people would be like, oh, it was a waste or whatever, it's a direct result of the retribution and the anger of white people of having to comply with this law that the Supreme Court says, y'all can't do this anymore. But not only that, but let's be very clear. The initial reasoning behind the segregation of these schools was because they were afraid that Black boys would hook up with white girls.
Yes.
Period. That is literally what this is. That is literally what is behind all of this. Their fear was that if they went to school together, Black boys would start hooking up with white girls, and it would be the quote unquote mongrelization of the races.
Mm-hmm.
And that's documented.
All right. And that's a document on this show. Documented. It's done. All right. Thank you very much, ladies, for taking the time. As per usual, thank you to the live audience. Appreciated and not taken for granted. As always, before we, as Dr. Tachi would say, exit stage left, how do we get a hold of LaLa Key?
I made it easy for you guys this time. You can find me at bit.ly/Laura Key Info. All of my information is there.
All right. Well, you're going to have to give me that next time so I can put it up on the screen, because that'll be okay. So next time we'll do that. And then Aisha K.
Instagram, AK Staggers, X, Aisha Staggers, and that's it. Especially if you want to talk about DV, get in touch with me. You want to talk about domestic violence.
All right. Good stuff. All right. This is me. Website, the drvibeshow.com. YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, the drvibeshow.com. And then Instagram at the drvibeshow, X/Twitter at drvibeshow, and finally email dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. A few other things. Again, in the U.S., National Domestic Violence Hotline, 1-800-799-7233. And here's a link on the screen. Family Violence Resources in Canada. There is the link. But on most platforms where we're broadcasting this live, the link is there. If not, please contact me in regards to that. As always, some final things we got to do. Primetime Saturday at Patreon. The link is there also in the comment section. Also, Show Store is there, that link. Always keep it up in our Discord group, which is always a great place to have conversation. And subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, and also hit the notification button. Also follow me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram at _VIBE SHOW. And again, if you want to advertise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms that I host, email me dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. And then finally, all the places where you can watch this show. I'm going to bring it up in there we go. At Dr. Vibe Show, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and also at my website, the drvibeshow.com. And I can't forget also on Friday afternoons, I believe at 5 p.m., you can also catch a replay of this epic conversation on Indie Soup TV. So that's it. That's a wrap. As always, we have some comments here. Got to get them in. Jen Meyer says, fabulous show. Fitness IQ Cam, great conversation. Heavy but great. Sylvia Parrish, you stayed on for the whole thing? Fantastic. Actually, Sylvia, we'd love to have you come on if you ever want to jump in with the ladies one evening. I know they'd like that. Get a Canadian voice. That'd be nice. All right. And JJ Mars earlier on said 70th anniversary should also be a colossal wake-up call to Black America that needs to teach our own kids. We should not solely rely on others to educate our own. As he says, call, not called. Correct. All right. This is how we ended off. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember, just don't manage your time, manage your energy, and remember to give yourself grace. God bless. Peace be well. Keep the faith and walk good. And again, share it out. Tell other people about it. Watch the replays, and also just be the best that you can be. Take care.